Now let's look at how to solve an equation with fractions. The equation we're looking at is x minus 2 all over 3 minus 4 equals x plus 1 over 4. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of the fractions, and we do that by multiplying through by the least common denominator. In this equation, the least common denominator is 12, because if we look at our two denominators, 3 and 4, 12 is the smallest number that they can both evenly go into. If you struggle to find the least common denominator, you can use your multiples to help you. So for this problem, I would list out my multiples of 3. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. For my multiples of 4, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 4 is 16. Then I looked for the smallest number in each list. 12 is the smallest number that's in both lists, so that's our least common denominator. So I'm going to take 12 and multiply it by this entire equation. Now some people can just do this in their head, where they'll take that 12 and distribute it to each term. I prefer to write out the multiplication to help prevent some arithmetic mistakes. And remember, when you're multiplying a whole number like 12 times a fraction, you can write it as a fraction by writing it as 12 over 1. So I'm going to first have 12 over 1 times that first term from the original equation, that x minus 12 over 3. I'm going to bring down my subtraction, and I'm going to write 12 times 4. Notice I multiply 12 by every term, so I'm including multiplying it by that 4, even though the 4 is not a fraction. Then I also have to multiply this 12, or 12 over 1, times the term on the right-hand side of the equation, that x plus 1 over 4. Now I'm going to actually do the multiplication. Remember, when we multiply fractions, we can cancel anything in the numerator with anything in the denominator. So when I look at the multiplication with that first term, the 12 over 1 times x minus 2 over 3, both 12 and 3 can be divided by 3. So I'm going to cancel. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So that leaves me with 4 times x minus 2. If I really wanted to, I could write it 4 times x minus 2 over 1, but I know that when I divide by 1, it's the same thing as just having that numerator, so I'm not going to include that over 1. I'm going to bring down the subtraction, and I'm going to do 12 times 4, which gives me 48. There was no fraction there, so there's nothing to cancel out. I'll bring down my equals, and on the right-hand side, I have 12 over 1 times x plus 1 over 4. There's a 4 in my denominator, and both 12 and 4 can be divided by 4. So I'm going to cancel by dividing both of them by 4. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1, and 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. So that leaves me with 3 times that whole numerator, the x plus 1. Notice I put both of those numerators, the x minus 2 and the x plus 1, in parentheses, because I need to multiply that number that's out in front by the entire thing. So now I solve the equation using the skills we learned earlier. I'm going to first distribute to get rid of my parentheses. That gives me 4x minus 8 minus 48 equals, I have to distribute on this side as well, 3x plus 3. Now I have to combine my like terms. So on my left-hand side, I have these constant terms, the minus 8 and minus 48. When I combine them, that gives me negative 56. I'll bring down that 4x. And on my right-hand side, there's no like terms. The 3x has an x attached, but that plain old 3 that's a constant does not. So I'll just bring down the 3x plus 3. I need to get the x's all on one side. This is a positive 3x, so I'll subtract 3x from both sides. That gives me 1x, or just plain old x, minus 56 equals 3. Remember that positive 3x and minus 3x cancels out. Then I'll add 56 to both sides to get my final answer, that x equals 59.